Hey, it's Michael, and this is Windblown Mic. I almost said Windblown Witness, talk about magazines. And this is the PCA's, SDR's podcast, kind of, in a loose kind of way, but we are here on episode number 6. Once again, thanks to Bob Berman for letting us record here in his studio, Amplified San Diego, which is up here in Carlsbad. I would say if you need recording done, come here. I don't know anything about recording, but it's great and it doesn't echo and they do a professional job for us. So, episode 6, we have Ilko with us, who, of course, is looking at my notes telling me I spelt his name wrong because I suck at this. Ilko was good enough to come join us today. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. It's only 15 minutes from my house, so you weren't asking too much of me.
You know, what your schedule is, when we first talked about this, so this is a little history of how this even came around. We were doing a backcountry pre-drive. It wasn't even the drive.
Correct.
So when we do backcountry tours, the leaders, the people that lead the people on the tours, we will pre-drive the route. And this route happened to be out to Borrego Springs, and we'd finish, and we were having lunch. What is it, 2 months ago, I guess. Mm-hmm. And Bob Berman, the owner of the studio, Ilko, Rick Richardson, and myself were sitting at a table. And I had mentioned that I'd finally convinced Bob, or told Bob, I wasn't sure which, that we really needed to do this podcast, being he's got the studio, and he agreed to do it, which was great. So we were tossing around names, and the name that you had came up with was Porsche Mic, which was a great name until I submitted it to National. And the minute I submitted it, I knew that there was going to be issues because I went on chat and asked it to design a nice logo. Mm-hmm. And it did, but of course it had Porsche written like Porsche. Yeah. And I sent it to Bill Hemming, and he's like, you need to call me on Monday. And I'm like, okay. So I called him. He's like, I go, dude, I understand we can't use it. And I sent him another one. It was going to be Porsche, Flat 6 Mic. Not as good. And he's like, well, are you going to like just key on 911s? I go, no. He goes, maybe you want to use something a little bit more regional. He goes, what is the name of your magazine? I go, Windblown. He goes, maybe you do something with that. So, of course, I put it in chat. Sure. And it came up with Windblown Mic, and it came up with a nice logo. I'm like, done. And that's how that all came around. But your inspiration for a name, I would have loved to use that, but yeah, we would have got a letter.
Yeah,
we would have got that letter in a heartbeat sooner or later. So anyhow, so let's talk about you, because that's why we're here. And the object of this podcast is to bring in the beginning, I said, board members, chairs, and the membership. And you do a lot behind the scenes. Of course, you're one of the leaders for the tours. And of course, we could talk a little bit about your employment when we get to it. So Ilko is definitely intertwined with Porsche. I would say a lot more with the sausage making on a higher level than the rest of us, for sure. There's just a lot of things that I always feel that when I'm speaking to you, I'll talk about one thing, wishing I'd have talked about 10 more things, because I always feel that you have so much to talk about when it comes to Porsche as a whole, not just the car, and I won't even say the corporate side of it, but it is more the corporate side of it, the big Porsche club that we all belong to. So let's just get right into this. And I just have a few standard questions I ask everybody. What was your first Porsche?
My first one was a 1986 944 Turbo. I had just sold Volkswagen R32 after a year of ownership. And I ended up getting more for that car than I spent on it. And I was feeling pretty good about myself. I had no actually aspiration of owning a Porsche. I was thinking that I would need to get a station wagon for the family and maybe like a older GTI, Mark II GTI to play around. And I was 26 at the time. So I was looking on VW Vortex, the big website for Volkswagens at the time, and someone had posted this 944 Turbo that was for sale very reasonably in California at the Auto Kennel here in Orange County. Paul Kramer, he's been doing this for a very long time, the proprietor of that shop. So I called Paul. The car was mint, had only 33,000 miles on it.
Oh, wow.
Two-owner car. The owner that he was selling it for had moved from Ohio to California and just wasn't driving the car. And it made a ton of sense for me to buy it, being that it was the first Porsche that I've owned, and I think I paid $12,000 or $13,000 for it at the time. That was in 2006-ish. 2006, yeah. And I got the car. I immediately started tinkering with it because that's what I do. And the interesting thing that popped right off the bat when I took the wheels off was how beefy the suspension and brakes were on that car. Just comparing to the Hondas and Volkswagens that I owned in the past, even though that car was literally 20 years older than the Volkswagen I just sold, everything about it was just so much more dense and stronger, and you can see the motorsport heritage in it. So my whole goal for getting the car was to take it to the track.
Okay.
And I immediately joined PCA because they had autocross and track days. I lived in New York at the time, so became a member of the Metro New York region of PCA. Signed up for a couple autocrosses, signed up for the track, and the first time I took it out to, it was Pocono. The guys that I was with, and I was totally new to PCA, I was totally new to the whole Porsche experience. Everybody was really welcoming at the track. I was a total novice in the green group, just had no experience whatsoever in anything track related, but everybody was really welcoming. But one thing that they said was, "You're crazy to be driving this car. It is so nice, and you're just going to trash it at the track. You really need to get rid of it and get something else that's more track appropriate." And I'm like, "Great, yeah, that sounds just about right, and it's wonderful. But what am I going to get instead?" I had put a little bit of effort into the car, and
what color was it?
It was black.
Black.
Unfortunately,
I was going to guess guards red.
No.
Seems like most of them were guards red.
No, my first 3 Porsches were black, and I've written off black since then, and I just bought them that way because that's what was available at the time, but I've never owned another black car, and it's been almost 15, 20 years now, and don't plan to own one ever. Anyway, back to the 944 Turbo, I was able to sell it to a local guy for $18,000, even though I had 13 in it. Another sort of win in terms of the value of the car being higher than from what I paid, and I was able to get a 964.
Oh.
I found a 102,000 mile 964 in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and the car was $17,000. So 20 years ago, 964s were in the teens.
Yeah, those days are long done.
I put some work into it, and I was off to the races, as they said. And I mean, the 964 was the unloved child of the 911 generation at the time. Yeah. It wasn't as interesting, or the heritage wasn't there compared to a 3.2 Carrera or the SCs, and it wasn't as beautiful as the 993. So it was sort of in no man's land. And yeah, I had that 964 for about a year. I crashed it at Lime Rock at the last session of the last day that they had at the season. And a cautionary tale here, why not to plug PCA too much, although I'm sure we will in this conversation. But when you go out on track with the Porsche Club of America, they are so adamant on you having a safe car to drive.
Yep.
You have to take it to have it at a safety inspection at a pre-approved shop. They have to sign off on it, and that has to happen within 2 weeks of your track day. I did a day that last day because I was hooked on the track at that point. I was doing track days every month
Oh, wow.
throughout the season. And the last day that they had was at Lime Rock in Connecticut in early November with a driving organization. I think it was called PDA or PDR, Performance Driving something. So they had no form to speak of. You could fill something on your own. The cars that were at the track were all kinds of different cars. Meanwhile, at PCA, you have to own a Porsche, and it could, be perceived as Porsche owners, they don't want to have any other marks, but there is a reason for that, is that the cars are built for the track.
Sure.
They are all tested at the track. Meanwhile, at that other day, they had Volkswagens. There was a Toyota MR2. Someone put a turbo on it, and it wasn't running right. They had all the colored fittings on it, and it was just ridiculous. So we were laughing at the guy, and as it so happens, in the second session of the day, I ended up behind him. He dumped all of his coolant at an apex of one of the turns.
Yeah.
And I slid in that, hitting the car, the rear end of the car, and spinning and then hitting the front. And again, I didn't have a ton of experience. I've gone through this incident in my head probably hundreds of times of what I could have done different. And it did save me on a future occasion, the fact that I overanalyzed it. But I smashed the car up, and I was gutted because I was 26 years old with a Porsche that cost me a lot of money. It was not the smartest financial decision to make it at that age. And I was going in a flatbed truck home with the car. And I didn't know what to do. So over the course of that winter, I realized that's another funny thing about values. 964s at the time were worth more in pieces than put together. So I sold the car in bits and pieces, and I ended up with, along with the engine, I traded it for an RS America. Whatever I had whatever I was able to save and get out of the broken 964, I gave the engine plus another, I think it was 18 or 20 grand, because the RS America was advertised at 24,000. Yeah. So I ended up getting that, and that car was not in the best of shape cosmetically. The RS America, it had a supercharger. It pulled like a diesel truck, and I spent the next 3 or 4 years at the track with that car.
A supercharger?
A supercharger.
I didn't even know Porsches put superchargers in
Porsche
their cars.
didn't, but TPC Racing in Maryland, they did.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it was quite the experience. Also a black one, and it was my last black Porsche. But that RS America was really special, and I did so much to it. But it was a non-sunroof car. I loved the fact that it had manual steering, no power steering. It was very simple. There was no AC, there was no radio, and I just put the race seats in it and went for it. Yeah, it was just a special car.
How long did you have it for?
Probably 3 or 4 years until my son was born. And when he was born, I realized that my track days are behind me. So I put the RS America up for sale, which, again, we're talking about values, but being that the car was worth in the 24,000 range when I bought it, and then 3 years later I got, or whatever time later, I got 36 for it, I thought I made out like a bandit, which gave me just enough to get a nice 993 C4S.
Nice.
So the idea was that I would have that car to spend with the family, and with my son, we would have all these times together. It didn't pan out that way because he was not interested in cars at the time. We were busy doing other things. As a young dad, you have all these ideas in your head about what's going to happen, and life has its own way of doing things. But we still had a good time with the car. I spent many years and miles with it, so it was a win.
How long did you have that one?
Probably 3 or 4 years also. Yeah, I did a lot of the work on that car too. It's suspension, maintenance, all kinds of things, and
so you're mechanically savvy. That comes from where? Your dad? Yourself?
It comes from the misfortune. I'm from Bulgaria originally, and there's a saying how there were these kids that were going out on a trip. That's the Bulgarian proverb. There were these kids going on a trip, young adults, and they told their mom, well, what if something happens during the trip and we need help? Well, call Lady Misfortune. Just yell her name and she'll come and help you. So the kids, one of the wheels on their wagon broke, and they started calling the Lady Misfortune. Nobody answered, and they were stuck there for a while until they figured out how to fix it and get on their way. So that's my story. I called Lady Misfortune many times, but the fact is, when I came to the U.S. from Bulgaria, I had no money. I had a car that was overheating because I needed it to get from point A to point B. The car was overheating. I couldn't pay anyone to fix it, so I figured out how to do it on my own. And the same thing happened with the next one and the next one, and then it just became sort of a hobby, me enjoying working on the cars and wrenching on them. And I figured that if I pay someone to work on the car and they break it, I feel, upset about it. That way, when I'm the one working on it and I break it, I can only be mad at myself.
Yeah, so no Lady Misfortune. I had our father, and we always worked on our own cars, and I'll never forget that my brother was a better mechanic than me, and I don't remember what we were doing. We just would work on everything. But one time, I think I was working on my old pickup truck, and unfortunately, the tools were out in the barn. Dad had some tools in our garage, but it was a little bit of a jaunt from house to barn. And I remember I needed a wrench, and I don't know if I needed a 1/2 inch or 9/16. But anyhow, I troop out to the barn, grab a whatever, come back. It's the wrong size. And our dad is in there, and he's like, there was never anything held back with him. And he's, what are you, just kind of stupid? Why didn't you just bring the whole toolbox with you? Now you got to go back and go get it, bring it back. What are you thinking? I'm like, I don't know. That's just how and I have to admit, through all my years in the Navy and working on things, not that I never enjoyed wrenching. God knows we did a lot of it, and we worked on big engines and piping and everything, but later in life, I just came to the point where there's just something I don't want to do. I've honestly never worked on my Porsches. Mm-hmm. I just don't do it. I used to work on the Aston of all things that we had, but the Porsches I don't. I'll work on my little runaround Focus and my old pickup truck. I'll do that, but I used to do her car, her little Lexus, but even the Jaguar. And that thing is super easy to change the oil on. And maybe this time, because the Jaguar dealership's pretty much gone, and they don't do much maintenance anymore. So I'll probably end up doing that one at some time. But yeah, I don't know. I don't mind working on stuff, but I just kind of pick and choose what I'm going to do or not do. But I always see you working on stuff. Like I noticed you were working on your Porsches the other day. I saw so the Porsches that you have now, how long have you had them? Because your cars are beautiful.
Yeah, well, I've had my 997 for 10 years now. And it's the longest I've owned a car by far. Although I used to swap cars a lot, but in recent years, I've kind of settled down a bit, and happier with the choices that I've made.
That sounds familiar, Space. Yeah.
So The 997 I've had for 10 years. It's going to be 10 years in April, just in a few weeks. And my 993, the current one, if you count 964s and 993s, I've had 7 of them over the years.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. I get bored. I get something else, and then I realize that I made a mistake, and I go back to it. But this one I've had for 2 or 3 years, yeah.
And that's
And the blue one.
the blue one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're both pretty.
So, yeah, that car needed a lot of work. I seem to find cars that need work, again, because I never wanted to pay market price for the car. I go for the cheapest example and then just
Work on it
to get it to where it needs to be. And sometimes I come out ahead, and sometimes I wish I had just paid what the market was at the time.
That's
and
kind of the Cayman when
yeah.
I bought it. I mean, I wasn't looking for the GTS. I was looking for an S with a manual.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I like the 2016, that generation of Cayman Boxers and 911s. I like them. So, and that wasn't what I was, but that one came up. And I think the guy wanted, I don't know, 65. I offered him 63 because of shipping, and I had done my research. The mileage was fine. The car was in excellent condition, so I bought it. Could I have gotten it cheaper? Sure, but I didn't want to be wrenching on a damn thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to take it. I wanted to start autocrossing it, and that's what I do with it. I mean, I do drive it, but I love autocrossing that car. I wish it had a little bit bigger engine because even... when you come into second gear and you're autocrossing with it, it gets a little doggy at times. I'll have a coach with me, Bob Shanks. Bob Shanks coaches me a lot. We'll come around. He's like, got it. And I'm like, Bob, that's all she's got, man. I'm down to the floor. We're doing it. It is what it is at this point. Okay. But yeah, I like it. It's a fun car. So let's talk about a little bit about what you do.
Sure.
You're in the magazine. Why don't you just go ahead and say
Panorama Magazine, the official magazine of the Porsche Club of America, the number one member benefit, I would say.
Yes.
That's what people pay the $56 every year, is to get the 12 issues of Panorama and the windshield decal. And obviously everything else that goes along with it, not to take away from all the events that the local regions and the national organization does. But for a large portion of PCA members, the most tangible member benefit is the magazine. And I've been reading Panorama. I became a PCA member 20 years ago. Just got my little 20-year sticker for the car. And at that time, it was being published out of a basement in Georgia. Betty Jo Turner was the editor, and Leonard Turner, her husband, he was the main photographer for the magazine. And at the end of 2012, Betty Jo Turner retired after 43 years at the helm of the magazine.
I didn't know they pushed it out of the...
That's right.
That's
yes.
Interesting.
She and Leonard put that magazine together for 43 years. So it was absolutely incredible what they did. But it was also a magazine that was very much a club magazine. It wasn't a national publication that would be of interest to read to a wider audience of people. And PCA at the time was looking to make a change. I reached out to the new editor at the time, Pete Stout.
Is marketing, is that your background?
I do. That's my job, is I sell advertising and sponsorships.
Have you always done that?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yeah. That's, I started in 2001 is when I started, and I've been doing that ever since. Yeah.
Print mainly?
It started with print. Yeah. We were working on a magazine. The one that I started working on was called Hit Parader. It was a heavy metal magazine.
Okay.
That's a whole different story, but I was really into music at the time growing up, and I was reading Hit Parader in Bulgaria, as a matter of fact. When I was growing up in the early 90s, right after the fall of communism, heavy metal was no longer a taboo. So you could get some of the tapes, you could get some of the other information, and excuse me, there was an underground store that would sell tapes and T-shirts, and they would go to countries that were further west of us, because none of the big bands would go and play in Bulgaria. On the Balkans especially, there was a war going on west of us, but they would go to Hungary, they would go to Poland, and all those guys, they would go to those concerts, they would watch the shows, and then they would come back with some merchandise. And Hit Parader was one of those things, the magazine. I couldn't afford to buy a magazine, so I would just buy pages off of it. Like I wanted something on Metallica, or I wanted something on Slayer and Iron Maiden, so I would just ask them to cut the pages off the magazine, and I take them with me, and I read the article, and I put the full for the full page photo of the band on my door in my bedroom. So that was my introduction to Hit Parader. And then when I moved to New York in '99, I went to an interview for a messenger and an office assistant, and in the office was Hit Parader magazine. I had not seen that magazine for a number of years. I just couldn't believe it. So I told the person that became my boss the story, and he hired me on the spot just based on that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I then became the messenger and the office assistant for that agency that was working on the magazine. They were hired by the publication company. And after I graduated from university, I was hired to do sales for the magazine. So yeah, I was one of the salespeople on Hit Parader. And then we did a bunch of other things, but mostly music, some hair and beauty. And then that's how my passion for advertising came to be. And when Panorama, I found out that Betty Jo Turner retired and the new editor came in on board, I told him, because I had spoken to him before, if you guys need help on the advertising side, please let me know. And next thing I know is I'm scheduling an interview with Vu Nguyen and Manny Olban, who was the president of PCA at the time, and Tom Gorsuch, who became a president later on, but he was the treasurer.
Yeah, we met Tom at the Zone 8 meeting.
Yeah. So my pitch to them was, that was late 2012. I've been a PCA member for 6-7 years now. I know how the club operates. I also have bought products for my cars from practically everyone in the magazine. Sure. So it will be an easy transition, and they let me handle it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And then one thing led to another. It was a time of really big change for PCA. It became a much more organized club with a very strong attention on media. Panorama changed a lot from the digest format that was the magazine was during Betty Jo Turner's time. And I don't know if you're familiar, but the
no,
small
I know it was
size.
Smaller. Yeah, I don't remember it because we weren't members then.
The reason why it was small was because it was made so that it could fit in the glove box of a 356.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember someone telling me that. Yes.
And to this day, they still have the back of the magazine with the information on different officers within the organization. But Panorama was sort of like the phone book for Porsche owners.
Sure.
You go on a trip, you put it in your glove box, and your car breaks down in Arizona, you know who to call, how to get help. So it was indispensable. But back to how things progressed. In 2013, the magazine was redesigned. Richard Barron, who's still is the creative director, he comes from Road and Track, and he has done so much in his career that the reason why the magazine looks so good is because of him. he did the whole redesign of the magazine. We went to a full-size format. All the photography is done by professionals.
Yeah. Oh, well, you can tell that.
The articles are written by professionals. And we had to make sure that everything flows together cohesively. And we were able to gain a lot of new advertisers just based on the fact that the magazine was just so much better looking than it used to be.
It is. It's a great magazine.
Brought it to its full potential. And then the following year, we brought eBrake News in-house because PCA, the national headquarters, I think he had like 5 or 6 people on staff, full-time employees. Vu Nguyen, the executive director, was one of them. You had Charlotte Chirinos. I'm sure you speak with her. She's actually been there longer than him. In finance, there was Denise Hovington. She's still there. All these people are still there. But the club was growing. When I joined the Panorama team, PCA had 62,000 members, primary members. And I'm counting primary only. Sure. Right now, we're 112,000, so we've doubled. And not only that, but the people that are joining now, and it was, to me, I'm jumping to different talking points here, but the people that are joining now are different than the people that have joined before, and also they expect more. So as an organization, we need to be able to deliver that, and that happens by having professionals do the work. So, for instance, after the pandemic, I was quite concerned, frankly, for PCA during the pandemic. Like, okay, people are not doing anything. The club is not being able. We can't do gatherings, which is one of our main objectives as an organization. We were able to pivot into the digital media, and then a lot of the prices of those Porsches went up too.
Yep.
And they haven't gone down, but they went up quite a bit. And I'm thinking for myself, okay, the first car I bought was $13,000. They're practically, you can't find a $13,000 Porsche that's in running condition now.
Yeah.
So who are those people that are joining? Well, the people that are from a higher economic bracket, and they're still joining because last year alone we grew by 5%. We went from 108 to 112,000 members. So it's quite a jump. But the people who are joining, they have a higher income. They buy more expensive cars, and they also expect more from the organization.
Yeah.
And what we've done on the national side with a lot of our events has been done in order to be able to make sure that those people are happy with their membership. I see what the San Diego region is doing too, with the progressive dinners, with the trips to the long trips that you go to Vegas, and the wine tours and everything else. Those are definitely catering to a different demographic, aside from the track days. Yep. And the autocross and the driving tours that we always do in the Concours. But the fact that we're able to pivot and transition and have volunteers able to, and happy to create those events for our members speaks volumes about the health of the organization, when other car clubs might be struggling to maintain their membership or shrink. PCA has grown dramatically over the years.
Yeah, and we had just had Randy in here to discuss membership. Mark, where are we at? We're over?
We're like 33.
Okay. Well, my friend, we have to bring it to a close. Mark, the engineer, is very strict on this with me.
No problem.
Thank you for coming out.
Of course.
See, I could go on here for another hour.
We can do another round another time. Sure.
Yeah, I would love that. At another time, I would love to do another round. If you're available, I'm available. So we're going to bring it to an end. That's number 6. I don't know when they're going to be published because that takes a little bit of time, but I am trying to get them out. So if you don't subscribe to the YouTube channel, please do. People don't even know we have a YouTube channel. Hasn't been used in 3 years. Yeah. So the video and audio will show up on YouTube, and then the audio will show up on Spotify. We're still working to get it out on Apple, but it's baby steps for me. But thank you for coming out. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Really
and
glad
that's
having
going to
that
take a
conversation.
wrap for this one, episode number 6. Thanks.